Welcome to the Parent Ed podcast by Focus on the Family Singapore. Family life can be crazy and chaotic, so join us as we figure it out together.
Hello and welcome to the Parent Ed podcast. My name is June and I'm your host for this episode. Today we are exploring the profound impact of one-on-one time between dads and their daughters. In a world where busy schedules often pull families in countless directions, carving out quality time with your daughter can sometimes take a back seat. However, the moments a father spends engaging in meaningful one-on-one activities with his daughter can shape her future in extraordinary ways. From building self-esteem and resilience to fostering strong communication skills and healthy relationships, these interactions are often the building blocks of a daughter's self-identity and emotional well-being. So today we'll explore heartwarming stories, expert insights, and practical tips on how dads can create unforgettable memories and forge unbreakable bonds with their daughters. For our guests today, we have Gerald, a daddy of two, and Faith, a Gen Zer, to share their experience and stories on this topic. Welcome, Gerald and Faith. Would you like to share just a bit about yourself so our listeners can get to know you better? Maybe we start with you, Gerald.
I'm Gerald, and I'm a 46-year-old father. 2 kids, one who is in primary 4, boy. I have a primary 6 girl who is having PSLE this year. So as you all know, it will be quite a ride for me and my family. Because of PSLE, we are a Singaporean family, so this is something big. And on top of that, I'm married for 18 years.
How about you, Faith?
I'm Faith. I'm a 25-year-old working adult, so I do corporate communications in a non-profit organization. Yeah, I enjoy going to the gym, running. Yeah, I'm an only child. I have both my parents with me.
Thanks for sharing a bit about yourselves. Maybe to get us started, on this topic about daddy-daughter time. Gerald, would you give us a word to describe, the relationship that you have with your daughter?
So one word to describe the relationship, I think I would say elevating. This is something that I felt that is my relationship with my daughter.
Wow.
Elevating. Yep.
I feel elevated just hearing that. How about you, Faith? What word would you use to describe?
If I had to pick a word, it would be supportive. I think for me, since young, I've always felt like my dad has always tried to give me the best that he can. And I think it's not necessarily in monetary value, like it doesn't come in the form of buying the most expensive things or enrolling into a pricey piano or ballet lesson kind of thing. But I think he has always wanted to give me the best in terms of like experience and exposure also. Yeah, I feel very assured of his support in my growing up years and even up to now as an adult.
In today's day and age where our schedules are often so busy, sometimes people say that their kids are even busier than them.
It's true.
Yeah, so Gerald, how do you manage to carve out time to have some real heart-to-heart connection with your daughter? How do you try to achieve that?
Earlier on, you mentioned that we don't really have time. So that's a reality we all face. So I face the same thing. I wouldn't just carve out time. I would look at every week in our schedule. Is there moments whereby I can actually make use of that I can spend one-on-one time with my daughter? She actually goes to tuition, and my role is actually to bring her home from tuition. I will actually go and pick her up, and the walk home is a good maybe half an hour. It depends on how fast we walk. So when I pick her up every week, I will walk with her and then I'll talk to her. That's one of the ways I kind of carve out the time. And of course, during the holidays, I try and do one day whereby I can spend time with her. We go to the library, we go to the beach. That's what we do.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Taking walks with your daughter.
Yeah.
And even though it's like a bit of a transition space, right? But it's still that precious one-on-one time you can chat, find out more about her day. Do you get to buy like some snacks that she likes on the way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, when I buy, I will just tell her, hey, don't tell your mother. Because the things that we eat sometimes can be very unhealthy. But anyway, it's a good walk home and then with some snacks. I think the important thing that I wanted to just elaborate a little bit more is that rather than it is actually good for her, to spend time with her, it's actually good for me as well. Because I do realize that as I journey, in these moments with her, how much communication I need to work on in terms of communicating with her. So, guys, we are generally speaking, and not all guys are like that. We are kind of like very rigid and one track, one mind, can only do one thing. And whenever we ask any kind of questions, we only ask for answers that is yes or no, one or two, kind of thing. So how do we ask open-ended questions? That's something, a skill set that I think guys and even especially fathers need to learn. So I think it is through these moments that I realized that, wow, my conversation with my daughter is somehow a little bit limited, but it's not a fault of hers, but more of me being the adult, being the father. I need to kind of like direct it a bit more.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think your posture speaks of one who's very humble and like willing to acknowledge this. I think that already helps you to be more intentional in your conversations with her, right? Faith, earlier you shared that you feel so supported all this time with your dad. Perhaps we could go back a little bit in time when you were younger. Bring us through how your dad showed you his affection, gave you attention, and spent time with you.
I realized that my dad is quite a quality time person, like the love languages, right? I mean, since young, he has always driven me to school, and he uses that time to just talk to me, or even just doing that so that I can have that extra half an hour to sleep. Or even if I need to rest in the car, he will allow me to do that. It's in the little things like that that make me realize over the years that he really has my best interest at heart. I really resonate actually a lot with what Gerald said, and I also want to affirm you for that also, because it's really that little moments, that you spend with your daughter that does make an impression on her. Because I think for me, thinking about memorable moments with my dad, of course, there are those really fun stuff like when we explore nature in Australia or we go kayaking in Halong Bay. Those things, they do stand out a lot. But I think something that I can still remember very fondly is eating Subway with my dad after Chinese tuition every Saturday when I was still in primary school. It's such a seemingly small memory, but it's something that we really do without fail every single week. Yeah, and I think I always just look forward to that time because I know, it is that time in that week where I can just spend one-on-one time with my dad. Yeah, because he works on the weekdays, so I don't really see him as much. Yeah, so having that time on Saturday, eating Subway together, it's a thing that we have. Yeah, and even now, sometimes we still like to eat Subway together, and it's something that we enjoy doing together.
This one you can tell your mother, right? Subway is quite healthy. It's quite healthy.
Can. So the funny thing is my mom doesn't really enjoy Subway that much. So it's kind of like, it's a thing that me and my dad both enjoy eating together. So I resonate with that whole, the little things that dads do for daughters that can leave quite a big impact on them.
I have something to ask Faith.
Sure.
And it's more of like for my own learning. Is it true that it doesn't matter the place that you guys go to? As I think about like spending time with my daughter, right? It's the time and then it's the company. It doesn't matter if it's a downstairs HDB playground, walking to tuition, or even like, something more exquisite, go somewhere expensive or go overseas. Does it actually matter? I mean, I just want to hear from your perspective as a daughter.
I mean, I think definitely when, as a younger child, when you get to do something novel or something a bit out of the ordinary, it leaves a very big impression. But I think over the years and with consistency, I realized that the small little things like here and there really leave different type of impact. So I mean things like I still have memories of sitting behind my dad's bike, then he will cycle to the swimming complex for my swimming classes. That kind of thing. So the fact that I can still remember it after almost 20 years, right, shows that maybe it doesn't really matter that much, whether it's a very big, extravagant thing or the small little things like that.
This is an assurance for me, and I don't know whether who else is listening in, because sometimes fathers, we tend to think very big, and need to plan, and then when we don't achieve it, we're like,
I think it's really amazing, like hearing both of you, and there seems to be a common thread where it's the transition from a place to another, whether it's in the car or whether it's walking along the road, where you get to actually connect and, really check in with each other. And, it's like a weekly ritual or regular ritual that you get to do, and you inject a little bit of specialness into it, right? For you, it's like buying a snack. For Faith, it's enjoying a Subway sandwich. And that's something that is so like unique to you and your child, or you and your dad. Earlier, Faith, you were mentioning as well that this leaves a really strong impression on you. And I'm just wondering, what is this impression about, or what does it do for you? Do you feel that there are some tangible benefits that you sort of take away from that, or is it just a feeling of being cherished, perhaps?
Over the years, with a lot of intentionality on my dad's part, definitely, I mean, like I said earlier at the start, like I do feel very supported, and I grow to know his heart for me. And so I know when it comes to certain decisions or things that he weighs in on, sometimes it can, without the part of knowing his heart, it can come off as, why are you so restrictive, or why are you being so protective? But because of his track record of building that trust and really ingraining in me that he truly loves me, then I know like he sometimes will respond this way because he's just worried, and he doesn't have to say I am upset because I'm worried kind of thing, but I just know it because of just that experience of spending so much time with him, or so much like one-on-one time with him. I do feel very valued and I consider myself very blessed.
I know there's research out there that shows like, the impact of a father, especially on daughters, building up their self-esteem, their ability to socialize and form relationships of their own. I know some of us may not think about this like, oh, because my dad did this and therefore I'm able to do this, So maybe it's not such a straight line.
Yeah,
but
it's not a cause and effect, like, oh, you do this, then you'll get this.
But do you generally feel it has made an impact on you?
Yeah, I think from my own experience, my dad has always assured me in both word and action that his love for me is never based on my achievements, but really just because he loves me. And of course, so growing up, of course, there are many times where my results in school were a little bit worrying, but his displeasure about how I was faring in school always stemmed from that place of him wanting the best for me and him hoping that I will succeed. Like I said earlier, really that many years of building and how that has helped me to know his heart, and as we spend time together and all that stuff. I mean, it's a track record of his support. Yeah, and being supported like that, it really drilled in me from a young age that the value of my life is more than what I can do or achieve.
Perhaps we move on to the slightly tougher part, which is, for dads out there who are listening and who are wondering like, oh gosh, I'm already so busy. Maybe I haven't had this time to think about setting up this habit, right? Yeah, so how can we make this one-on-one time happen? How do we create this space for this conversation to take place?
I would say that when we come to that platform or that level of starting to think of this, it is driven because of our love for our daughters. So I think sometimes the things that we are involved in, like our work, our responsibilities and our commitments, can be so overwhelming that this love for our daughter can kind of like, not say forgotten, kind of like buried. We let things slide. I think it's very important to probably be mindful of it and to make intentional decision to spend time with our daughters. It's important because my daughter is my eldest and I've never been a father, of course. And when she came to our world, I was like frantic and don't know what to do. And I think what didn't help was that she had to go through a medical situation that we were preparing ourselves that she might not be a normal child. And that was like a kind of like it burnt into our memory. And for me, that she's really precious to us. So I just want to say that this love that we have for our daughters, right, should be the first point whereby when we start to think about spending time, not as a task, not as a like, I think I should do this, because when we go that route and we kind of like forget why our daughter is our daughter, we get burnt out or tired because amidst of all other things that we need to do, right? So it shouldn't be like a task, because some guys, some fathers, there's so many things to do. They are so task driven and they are very dependent on schedule. Thought that wouldn't be very helpful, even though it may work for a while.
So what I'm hearing is don't approach it as a task. Don't put your daughter on the to-do list.
Yes.
Right?
If we do think of it that way, then we need to ask ourselves, how come? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking this way?
Yeah. I think what you shared earlier about how that medical situation helped you to see how precious your daughter really is to you.
Yeah.
It would be so great if everybody felt that way, right? Without needing external prompts.
I think it's very human that for things to change or become very important, it's always like we need a crisis. But of course, not all children coming to our lives comes with crisis. And I'm not saying that the crisis was good, but it did become a reminder for me. Even now, as I think about it, it's still very vivid in my mind. It's like I could have lost her and I could be living a very different life now because I need to handle a very different situation,
Earlier when you were talking about like approaching it as a task, I also was reminded that sometimes as parents, we let a lot of functional speak dominate our conversations, like, have you done your homework? What grade did you get? Have you packed your snack and your wallet and your bag for tomorrow? And sometimes we forget to get into that mode where, how was your day?
Yeah.
How are you doing? How's your friendship? Do you have any concerns? Right? Just opening up that space and I wonder what it takes, sometimes to get us into that habit a little bit more.
Remember my dad, even now he will still do it, like, how's your day? Or when I first started work 2.5 years ago, after the first day of work, he would ask, how did it go? And he would check in with me. And even though, honestly, there are days when he asks, how was your day? And honestly, I don't really feel like talking, but I just say, it was okay. It was very persevering of him to keep doing it consistently over the years. And so I think even though there are days where it may seem a bit mundane or it may seem like it's not really going anywhere, don't give up, because over time, your daughter will know your heart for her. Yeah, even though I don't have that many heart-to-heart talks with my dad, but I mean, we do have it once in a while. So, I mean, I guess it shows that over the years, things have accumulated to a point where I feel safe enough to share my heart with him. Even now, he also opens up to me or like ask me for advice sometimes even.
Oh my.
Yeah. Really interesting how our relationship has grown.
That sounds like another podcast topic.
Yeah.
Maybe you should get your dad in here.
I want to kind of like add on to what Faith had mentioned. I want to encourage those who are listening in, right, the fathers, that don't give up, in a sense that more and more fathers are more sensitive. The older gen is like they're very hard people. They rough it out. They don't tell people their problems. They swallow it and then finish it. Family, no conversation, so be it, kind of a thing. But I think more and more fathers, especially the younger fathers, are more sensitive. Nothing wrong with that. More emotional, more in touch with their feelings. At moments of such whereby our children, in this case our daughters, right, are not responsive to us when we want to have a conversation, don't give up. Maybe find someone to like pour out, and someone who will not judge us, or someone who will say, okay lah, it's okay lah, it's part of a family growing. Maybe our wives. And I really want to just write on to what Faith has said, and I just want to encourage the young fathers today, not that they don't love us. Not that they don't love us.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys can be emo, right? Then we just, like that treat me. That means you don't love me, Then, the kind of thingy. So snap out of it, But you're sensitive to your feelings, but know that your daughter at that moment not ready to talk.
Yeah, sometimes it's really just that. Sometimes we just don't feel like talking. Sometimes we feel a bit more chatty and excited to talk. So,
So the key is really to recognize which moment it is, right? Sometimes it's just, okay, hi, bye, and I'm okay, that's it, and accept that there's nothing personal about it. It's not like
for sure.
There is hate or, some anger there, unless of course something else happened that, that you need to address. But other times when your daughter is ready to talk, then it's really about being willing to be there and to avail yourself, your ears, your heart, to just journey with her. I think these are really helpful tips that fathers out there can probably apply like straight away. So really thank you, both of you, for sharing your stories and tips with us. Before we let you go, do you have any last word you want to leave with our listeners?
Cherish the moments and to cherish your daughter. Speaking about it from like the flip side, whereby like now that I'm an adult daughter, so I recently turned 25. I spent my birthday with my parents. At the end of the night, I think I just realized that as I'm growing older, my parents are also growing older. And just like that, like 25 years have passed. Time flies, like it really flies. It made me realize that as a child, I need to cherish the moments that I have with my own parents. And I think it's the same for parents as well, right? Like you realize that your children are growing up fast. Yeah, you'll never get that 7-year-old again. You'll never get that 9-year-old again kind of thing. And even though some phases may be a bit tougher to go through, but you'll never get that again. So cherish that.
So I have 2 points to share. First one is have courage and let go. Have courage and let go to all the fathers who are listening in, because in our day and age, because we're so busy, we are handling so many things, and especially in terms of our career, there is a need to have courage to let go of our work and then spend time with our children, our daughters. It is at the expense of maybe people misunderstanding us. It can be in the expense of producing work at the right time, punctually. It can also be like, losing maybe a certain work requires to bring in sales and things like that. I don't know, but it can be very big, it can be very small. But take courage and then let go and just go and spend time with your daughters. Just like what Faith had mentioned, these moments will not come back again. And then we always say, I regret not doing this, I regret not doing that. Then what's the point when we say that, right? Second point is this. I actually shared with my daughter that today I'm doing this podcast. And I asked her, what do you want the fathers who are listening to know about daughters, She said, please tell us more stories. Please tell us more stories. I say, you want us to nag at you? No, not nag.
Different.
Different. Tell us your life stories. Tell us your life stories. We love to hear that. It can be simple, it can be deep. It doesn't matter. It's about you. We are learning something, and because it is from your heart, it's your life, your experience, your childhood, whatever it is, or even your work experience, tell us your stories. We want to hear that. So these are the two that I want to leave with the listeners.
It's true though. I enjoy hearing about my dad's childhood because the world then is very different from it is now. It's very interesting.
Okay, wonderful.
Wow, I love that tip. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to bring it home and let my hubby know as well. But of course, I can also ask him to listen to this podcast. Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Faith and Gerald. For those tuning in, we hope you've gained some fresh ideas. I'm sure you have. And if you are keen to bring your daughter for a date she will hopefully remember for life, do check out Date with Dad. That's happening on 11th November. And you can head over to www.family.org.sg/datewithdad to find out more. Do also share this podcast with a dad friend and be sure to catch us on our next Parentnet episode. Until next time, have a great time with your daughters.